Good morning. Today we're learning Daf Lamed Beis in Baba Kama. So we're going to start with the Mishnah on Daf Lamed Aleph on base, the bottom of the page. Ze Baba Chavisoi veze Baba Kurosoi. Reuven is going with his barrel in Rosh Hashanah, and Shimon is going with his plank of wood. Nishbera Kadoi Shil Ze Bekurosha Shil Ze. The barrel broke from the piece of wood. Potter. Why? They're both allowed to walk in Rosh Hashanah. That the first case is talking about where they came from opposite directions, and the person of the barrel should be careful from the person of the wood and should keep away from him. Now we're talking about a different case. They're going both in the same direction. The first one who's walking, the person of the piece of wood, and behind him is going the person of the barrel. The barrel broke on the piece of wood. Potter. The Balakura is Potter, because if no one stopped and they're just walking, what happened? He was walking first with the piece of wood, and the person of the barrel probably went too quick and bumped into the wood. He's Potter. The Muhammad Balakura. What happened if the person who's standing with walking with a piece of wood stopped? Chayev. So he's chayev because he did something. He calls here an issue because he stopped in the middle of Rosh Hashanah, and the other guy was just walking. So he's chayev because he walked straight. He made the guy with the barrel walk straight into him. If he shouted, "Hey, stop, Amoid," Potter. He let him be aware that to stop, and he didn't stop. He didn't listen to him, and he walked straight into him. He's Potter because he made him aware. If it was the opposite, the Chovis is going first, the Baal Korach, and the person with the piece of wood is walking behind him. Nishbera Chovis Bekora. If no one stopped, the barrel broke. Chayev, the Baal Akora, the person of the wood, is chayev because he should have not walked so fast and bumped into the barrel. If the person of the barrel stopped and the other person just continued walking, Potter. He's Potter for breaking the barrel because he doesn't have to suspect that the guy of the barrel should suddenly stop in Rosh Hashanah. But if the person of the barrel told the guy behind him with the piece of wood, stop, and he didn't stop and he kept walking and he walked into his barrel, Chayev. This case of a barrel and a piece of wood is applicable also if one guy has a bunch of pishton, cotton that could get onto lit, and this is the other guy is going with a candle and they're walking one after each other. So it depends who's walking first and who stopped. Exactly like the candle is similar to the person with the piece of wood, and the pishton is similar to the person with the barrel. Said the Gemara, Boy minei Rabbam Barnosan Mirav Huna. Rabbi Barnosan asked a question from Rav Huna, what's the din of a mazdikis ishoy betash mishamito mau? Someone who caused damage to his wife in the middle of relations, when he had relations with his wife, and he caused the damage, what's the din? Since he's allowed to have relations with his wife and he's doing it with Rishus, it's Potter. Or maybe he should be careful not to hurt her, not to harm her. Malay told him, Tanisua, we learned it in our Mishnah in Baba Kama over here, that they both have permission to be there. It says in the Mishnah that if the barrel and the Korah hit each other, when no one stopped and they're going opposite directions, he's Potter because they're both allowed to walk in Rosh Hashanah. So also here, they're both allowed to be there in this relation, so he doesn't have to be aware and make sure that he doesn't cause any hezek, any damage to his wife, and therefore he should be Potter. That's what Rav Huna told him. Omar Rava doesn't agree with this. He disagrees with Rav Huna and he's choilik. He says kal v'choyma. We have a kal v'choyma. Umayar. What a forest. I'm going to read the second pasuk of the forest. It says, someone went to cut wood in the forest, and he wanted to hit the wood with the axe. And the piece of metal came flying off the wood, off the handle, I suppose. When he found his friend, Umeis, and killed him. He is chayav begolus because he killed his friend b'shoigeg. So he's saying, Umayar, says Rava, Mayar, what forest is nichnas? Reuven, who goes into the forest to chop woods, is allowed to go into the forest. It's his reshus, he's allowed to go. And Shimon, who went there to collect mushrooms, and he's also allowed to go into the forest. We say the person with the axe who killed the person who was collecting mushrooms or whatever he was doing there. It's as if he went into Shimon's reshus, and he's chayiv, the chayiv. That means they're both allowed to be there, and we still say chayiv as if he came into his reshus and damaged him. There, over here, the man, that he's going into the woman, he's going into her reshus. Even more, he should be chayev if he calls the hezek. Elo hokotoni. Elo hokotoni shelazer reshus lalech ulazer reshus lalech. Lechera, now Mishnah we say that the barrel is allowed to walk in reshus rabim, and the person with the plank of wood is allowed to walk in reshus rabim, and that's why he's potter. It doesn't fit in what we were saying about the forest, about someone killing each other in the forest by mistake. So the Gemara Hosom Tavari Kadodininu. Over there, so we're asking, we are saying that you chayv when you damage a woman, in the Mishnah it says over there that you potter because they both have reshus. So the Gemara Hosom Tavari Kadodininu, they're both allowed to be in reshus rabim. No one did something extra more than his friend. By the man and the woman, he's doing a maisa. When a man's in a relationship with a woman, he's doing the actual maisa. And she doesn't do a maisa. We know that the famous term, that woman when she has relations, it's karka oilam, as if she didn't do anything. So therefore, he is chayev for damage that he causes. And it's not doimet to the person with the chovetz that they're both doing the same. Frag the Gemara v'aksiv, it says in the pasuk, v'nichruso nafoshois ha'oisois mikerev amom. It says about a woman and a man who did the avera and they deserve chorus on it. So they both, if they did a forbidden relation, let's say a brother and a sister, or any of the forbidden relations. So it says v'nichruso nafoshois ha'oisois mikerev amom. They'll get chorus the nefashos who did it. So it's mashma oisos, it's talking about both the man and the woman, and it's talking about them, and if they did the maisa, they both did it. And we're saying the woman doesn't do the maisa in relations. Said the Gemara, ano enjoyment letarai islu. They both have enjoyment from it, and therefore if the woman agreed to do the savera, she gets punished from it, and if she did it physically herself. But in the physical world, for sure it's him, he's doing the act, and the woman doesn't actually do an act. And therefore it comes out that a man who caused damage to a woman in relations, he has to pay her. Okay, the Mishnah says, if the person with the plank of wood was first. Says the Gemara, Omar Rish Lakish, says Rish Lakish, two cows are sitting in Rishus Rabim in a public place. Achas Ruvutza, one is sitting, and it's a weird thing to sit in Rishus Rabim for a cow. The Achas Maleches, and one of them is walking, is doing her normal thing. But Maleches Beruvutza, the one who is walking, kicked the Ruvutza, the one who's sitting, who's doing a funny thing, Ptura. He's potter to pay, even though the regular Keren is Chai Rishus Rabim. But in such a case, where this one is doing something weird, and then my cow came and did something weird to the cow, did something weird, it's potter, as we had this a few times from Rish Lakish. Ba'achad v'shino, someone did a shinui, his cow sat down, ba'achad v'shino, and someone did another shinui and gave her a kick, his potter. Be'ef revutza b'ma'aleches, the one who's sitting gave a kick to the one who's walking, chayeves. He's chayev. So he said here two dinim. One, that the sitting one kicked the walking one is chayev. That's more pashat. And the big chiddush is the walking one who did something weird and kicked, but because he kicked the cow that did something weird that was sitting, you're potter. So the Gemara, let's bring a raya to Rish Lakish from our Mishnah. If the first one was the person of the plank of wood. Ubal chovis achron, behind him was walking the person with the barrel. Nishbar chovis bakora, and the barrel broke on the piece of wood. Potter, his potter. Being omad balkora, but if the balkora did something weird, like revitza, like sitting of the cow, and he stopped, chayev. So he's chayev to pay for the barrel. And over here, the keruvutza ma'aleches domi. It's as if the revutza, the one who did something weird, is kicking the one who walked. And also here, the barrel, the guy who stopped with the wood did something weird, and he kicked the barrel. Domi viktoni chayev, and it says they chayev when for the barrel, and also here you'll be chayev when the one who's sitting kicked the one that's walking. Frek the Gemara of Etisbara, do you think this is a good raya? Hosi you boye. This needs that means Hosi you Rashi says the revuta b'maleches chayev. Do we need to bring any raya? The whole chiddush of Rish Lakish is not that the one that's sitting kicked this walking one that chayev. That's poshut. The chiddush is that the one did the shinui, and someone came and kicked the one who did the shinui, they potter. And in our case, the one who did the shinui, he damaged. So that's no chiddush. We want the chiddush. So if you damage the one who does the shinui, you're potter. What's the raya from here? The Tisbra, do you think Hosi you boy? Do I need a raya for this part of Rish Lakish? Lo mistay de lo misaye. Not only that we don't have a raya to Rish Lakish's chiddush, kol hamishana boacha mishino, uboacha mishino boy potter. Elo makshinami kasha. I have a kasha on Rish Lakish from our Mishnah. Why? Tama de boata. The reason Rish Lakish says that if the one who sat kicked the one who's walking, then yechayev hoska mimela. If let's say the one who's sitting damaged the one who was walking, but not by a physical kick, tension of kicking, it just by chance, by him sitting, the other one, let's say, tripped over him or something, and he got damaged, will be mashma, then the din is that you're potter for causing the damage for the walking one. On our Mishnah, the one who stopped, who did the shinui, the one with the piece of wood who stopped and did the shinui was mimele. He didn't specially kick the barrel, he just stopped, but he did the shinui, and what's the din? Viktoni chayev, and the barrel walked straight into him, the person on the barrel walked into the wood, and he chayev, even though that the person with the piece of wood didn't kick intentionally, he just stopped. So l'chera, what would be the din if the revutza just sat and did something weird, like the person stopped with the wood, and the walking cow got damaged even without a kick? The din should be chayev from Rish Lakish it's mashma that it's potter dafka if he kicked. So not only we don't have a raya from the Mishnah, we have a kasha from the Mishnah. Says the Gemara, Masnisin de poskel urchik shelda. In the Mishnah, when the person with the piece of wood stopped, he's talking about he stopped that he's as if like a dead animal in Rishus Rabbim from side to side. We had this yesterday that he blocked the whole Rishus Rabbim and there's nowhere to walk across. So therefore, when the person with the piece of wood stopped the whole Rishus Rabbim and the person with the barrel has nowhere to go and he bangs into him and he breaks the barrel, you have to pay, even though they didn't kick him intentionally. You just stopped. That's why you have. Hocha, but by the cow that sat down, kigoin de Rava b'chod gisa, it sat down on one side of Rishus Rabbim. The other cow, the walking cow, should have gone past beidach gisa on the other side of Rishus Rabbim. And therefore, your potter, if it got damaged by the cow sitting, only if the cow kicked, then you chayev. So we don't have a kasha anymore from the Mishnah. Says the Gemara, L'seifa de Masisin Esel Rish Lakish. You know what? The raya to Rish Lakish is from the next part of the Mishnah. The Ktoni that it says, Oyo Baal Chovis Rishon, the Baal Chovis was first walking, Ubal Koir Achron, and behind him the person with the piece of wood, Nishbar Chovis Bekora, if the Chovis got hit in the Koira Chayev, because it means the person with the wood walked too fast and bashed into the barrel. V'im omad bal chovis. What happens if the person with the barrel was mishana, did something weird, and he stopped? Potter. The person with the piece of wood is potter. V'hocha over here, It's as if the one who was walking did a shinui and went and hit the one that did a shinui, the one who sat down. So also, and what did it say? V'ktoni potter, and it says your potter. So it's as if the one who was walking kicked the one that's sitting, and it says it's potter. A very good riot to Rish Lakish, to his din that if someone did a shinui, the cow sat down or the person stopped with his barrel, and someone else did the shinui, kicked the walking cow, kicked the sitting cow, or the person, the cow banged into the chovis, you potter. So the have a riot. Said the Gemara, Masnisim b'chi'uchi komaski. We don't have a raya. In the Mishnah, the person is going with the piece of wood behind the person with the barrel he's just walking in Rosh Hashanah. So the person stopped in front of him. I'm just walking Rosh Hashanah with my piece of wood, and he stopped. It's his fault. I went into him. I'm potter. But over here by the cows, he could tell him, the owner of the cow, who's a sitting cow, could say, very good, you could pass me, my cow stopped in the Rosh Hashanah and sat down, so your cow could keep on going and pass me and doesn't have to stop. But to go and physically kick my cow, you don't have reshus, and maybe in that case, you'll be chayiv. In the Mishnah, you're potter because the guy of the piece of wood just kept on walking. He didn't actually do a kick. He didn't actually do a shinui. So therefore, he's potter for breaking the barrel. But in the case of the cows, when one is sitting and the other one comes and kicks him, why are you kicking my cow? I know that my cow's sitting and you know when it's sit, but you shouldn't kick it. Your cow should just keep on going. Maybe in that case you'll be chayev, not like Rish Lakish, but even so in the Mishnah you'll still be potter. And therefore you don't have no raya from the Mishnah to Rish Lakish. So the next Mishnah. Two people who are walking in Rosh Hashanah. Echad rotz, one is running, ve'echad malech, or one is running and one is walking. Oya sheyev shneim rotzim, or they're both running. V'yiziku says that one of them damaged the other one. Shneim p'turim, they're both potter because they're allowed to do it. It seems like to run, to walk in Rosh Hashanah. We're going to see the Gemara is going to explain what we're talking about. So the Gemara. Masnisin deloy Isi ben Yehuda. Our Mishnah doesn't fit in like the Tana called Isi ben Yehuda. The Tanya we learned in the Brisa. Isi ben Yehuda. Isi ben Yehuda says, "Rotz, if one person's walking and one person's running, rotz, the one who's running chayev. Why? Because he's doing something weird. Rosh Hashanah, a public place, is a normal place to walk. But if you're running and doing something different, you're chayev." Umoide Isi and Isi agrees, Be'erev Shabbos, just before Shabbos, Ben Hashmoshes, just when the sun's going down, Shu Potter, that you're Potter for even if you're running. Why? Mipnei, because Shirot, he's running Bereshus. He's running Bereshus. We're going to soon see what the Reshus is to run Erev Shabbos, but it's normal to run Erev Shabbos, so therefore it's like walking, and it's like two people walk to damage each other, then you're Potter. But in the middle of the week, you're chayev if you're running. So the Chara Mishnah, it says that one's running and one's walking, you're potter. It's not like Isi ben Yehuda. Amar Rabbi Yochanan says, Alocha ki Isi ben Yehuda. Alocha is like Isi ben Yehuda, that the one who's running is doing something meshuna and he has to pay. Frek the Gemara, mi Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Achi did Rabbi Yochanan say so, Amar Rabbi Yochanan said, Alocha kestam Mishnah. That is Alocha kestam Mishnah. That whenever you have a Mishnah without no Tana, it doesn't say who it is, we go Alocha like that. But now in our Mishnah over here that we just learned, Echad rot, one running, Ve'echad malech, and one is walking, Oya sheish shneim rotim, or they're both running, P'turim. You're potter, not like Isi ben Yehuda. Says the Gemara, no. Masnisin, our Mishnah is talking about Be'erev Shabbos, when you're allowed to run. And that's why you potter. But enachanam in the middle of the week, the one who's running is chayev, and the Mishnah fits in like Isi ben Yehuda, and therefore Rabbi Yochanan could say Alocha is like Isi ben Yehuda. So let's see. Masnisim be'erev Shabbos ben Hashmoshes. It's talking about erev Shabbos just before Shabbos. Mimai, how do we know that our Mishnah is talking about such a case? Doesn't say anything about it. Midiktoni, since it says in the Mishnah, Oyushem shneim rotzim p'turim. It says in the Mishnah, Echad rot ve'echad malech, oy Hashem shneim rotzim pturim. Why do we need this last case of them, both of them running? Hotar tu lomali, why do we need this case? Hashto, now we said already in the case before that, Echad rot, one of them's running, that is doing something weird. Ve'echad malech, and one is doing nothing weird, potter, even though that's the one who's running damage, the one who's walking his potter. Shneim rotzim, if they're both walking in a public place, obviously, if they're both running, you need to tell me again, if already one is walking, he's doing nothing wrong, he's doing his shopping, and the other one comes running past him and he damages him, he's doing something mishuna, and we say he's potter. So for sure, when they're both doing something mishuna, you're potter. So why did it say afterwards, what's the chiddush, what's the extra chiddush of that case of the Mishnah when they're both running? Ela ochikoma, must be this is pshat in the Mishnah. We're adding in a little bit. Echad rotz ve'echad ma'alech potter. When one of them's running and one of them's walking, you potter. When are we talking about Erev Shabbos, Bein Hashmoshes? That's especially when you're allowed to run Erev Shabbos. Aval b'choil, if it's in the middle of the week, echad rotz ve'echad ma'alech chayev. One of them running and one of them walking, and the one who's running damage the one who's walking chayev because you did something weird. But if shneim rotzim, if both of them running, afilu b'choil, even in the middle of the week, pturim, because they both did something weird, so no one's chayev for damaging each other. Omar, we just learned, Isi agrees, Be'erev Shabbos, Ben Hashmoshes, Shul Potter, Mifnei Shul Ratz B'Rishus, because he's running with permission, he's Potter. Be'erev Shabbos, Ma Rishus Eka, what's a Rishus to run Erev Shabbos? Kedu Rab Chanina, says it more like Rab Chanina. The Omer Rab Chanina, says Rab Chanina, Bo v'neitze likras kala malkasa. Let's go out towards our kala, our queen. Ve'amrula, and some people say, likras, let's go out towards our Shabbos kala malkasa. So we add in the Shabbos, that's a kala, that's a queen. Rabbi Yanai, mitzatef v'koi, Rabbi Yanai would cover himself up with a talis like this. V'koi, and he'd get ready. V'omar, and he'd say, boi kala, come kala. He'd bring in Shabbos early. I think the reason why we're saying he'd wear a talis, that was still the day, it wasn't already night. The night tzitzis is not time at night. He's saying already before Shabbos, he was accepting Shabbos. I don't know if that's my add-on. But, so we're saying that the Rishus is to run before Shabbos, is to bring in Shabbos. So it's like if someone has a very important meeting, someone who's going to meet, I don't know, Elon Musk or the Queen or the King nowadays, and he wants to, he knows his meeting is at 4 o'clock, but he knows if he comes at 3:30, they'll let him in. He'll have an extra half an hour. So he'll do all he can to come there early, to accept the extra benefit that he has. So when we have our Shabbos, it's a special day that we have relaxed. We don't smoke cigarettes. We're not on our phones. We are present over here. We don't have internet. We have to be present. It's a great blessing that Hashem gave us in the world. So we have to run towards it. Not run away from it and, I need to do this, I need to get this ready, I need to, like a pressure. No, run towards, so exciting, now I'm going to have my break from the week, I'm going to have time to be with my family. You run and say, I want to bring this in early. Anyway, says the Mishnah, someone who is cutting wood in Rishus Rabim. There's 2 verses at the back, we're going to keep just as it says by us. Someone's cutting wood in Rishus Rabim, ve'izik b'Rishus Hayochin, and he causes damage into Rishus Hayochin, someone else's property. B'Rishus Hayochin, someone who's cutting in his own property, ve'izik b'Rishus Rabim, and he damaged in the public domain. B'Rishus Hayochin, he was cutting in his own domain, ve'izik b'Rishus Hayochin acher, and someone else's domain. Chayev, all these cases he's chayev. Says the Gemara v'Tzricha, you need to tell you all these cases. The itona mevakeh b'Rishus Hayochin. If we would say the case where he cutting in Rishus Hayochin in my own private property, ve'izik b'Rishus Rabim, and I cause damage in the public, mishum d'shchich Rabim. The reason why I'm chayiv is because I have to be careful. Over there, there's a Rishus Rabim, a public place. There's lots of people walking over there, so you should be careful. That's why I chayiv. Avam Rishus Rabim. But if I'm cutting Rishus Rabim, Rishus Hayochin, and I cause damage in someone else's private domain, there's no law of people in that private property, maybe I should be potter. That's why I need to tell you this case. If you'd say only the case where I'm cutting in Rishus Rabim and I cause damage to Rishus HaYochid, because I shouldn't be cutting wood in Rishus Rabim. Rishus Rabim is no place to cut wood. That's why I'm chayev. If I was cutting in my own private place, Rishus Rabim, and I cause damage in a public place, the Rishus of it, I'm allowed to cut wood in my own private property. Maybe I'll be potter. If I would say both of these cases, that I'm cutting in my Rishus and I damage in Rishus Rabim, or I cut in Rishus Rabim and damage in Rishus HaYochid, I'll say this is I'm chayev because there's lots of people in Rishus Rabim and I cause damage over there, I'm chayev. And in a case where I was cutting in Rishus Rabim, I did it without permission, I'm not allowed to cut my wood over there, that's why I'm chayev. When I was cutting in my Rishus, and someone else's private permission, that there's not lots of people in the other private place. I'm allowed to cut in my own private property, maybe I'll be potter tzricha. That's why we need all three cases in the Mishnah. Ton Rabbanon, Rabbanon learned, someone who came into the shop of a carpenter, without permission, and a piece of wood flew, and the top chalponov and hit him in his face and he died. Potter. So this is the ratio of the brisa, that we're saying that someone came into the shop, the carpenter shop, without permission, and he got damaged, he got killed from the piece flying, a piece of wood. The carpenter, the owner of the carpenter, who caused the killing is potter because he came in without permission. If it's a place and he came in with permission, he said, can I please come into your shop? I want to see how you do your woodwork. Come in and he's watching, and then a piece flew and hit him. So then he's chayev because the person knows he's there. My chayev. So what are you chayev on? When it said in the Sefer, so it said in the Reisha you pot, and the Sefer is chayev. My chayev. What are you chayev on? Omar Rabbi Bar Chanina says chayev b'dalet dvorim. You chayev to pay if you didn't kill him, if he just caused damage to the person, you have to pay dalet dvorim. That's nezek, sheves, ripui, and tsar. But you don't have to pay boishes, because boishes embarrassment you have to pay only if it's mamish korev lemezit. But you have to pay 4 dvorim. U'potter megolus, and he's potter to go away from golus when you killed him. Even though that says chayev, it doesn't mean if you killed him. Chayev is talking about dalet dvorim, but if you killed him, you potter megolus. Why? Lefisha ein doime leyar. It's not similar. When did the Torah say you go to golus in a case of yar, like the case the pasuk we said on Amud Aleph that we brought? That's when you go to golus. And why is it not doime to yar? Yar the l'shus nichnas, the l'shus nichnas. It's public. Reuven came in with permission in his own place, and Shimon came in. That's why he chayev over there to golus. There, l'rishus chaver nichnas. This he comes in to rishus chaveri. So therefore, it's not doime to yar. Yar is a public place. This is a private place. Omar Rava, ask Rava kash on this kal v'choyma. I have a kal v'choyma the opposite. Umay yar. What if the forest? Each one comes in with his own knowledge. That means Reuben came in to cut the trees, and he doesn't know about anyone else. And this one went without telling on anyone else, on his own knowledge, and he came into, to collect mushrooms. And we say, as if the person who was chopping the wood, who killed the other person, goes to Goyle, as if he went into the Shimon's Rishus and he killed him, and he goes to Golus. Over here, that he comes in with permission to his friend's shop and he gets killed. Even more so, he should be Goyle. It's even worse. When a yar, I'm allowed to be there, he's allowed to be there. One killed each other, chas v'sholem. You go to Golus. Kol shekain, when here the person came in with permission, even more it's worse that he killed him. Elo Marava. Says Rava, my potter, when it says potter, migolus. My potter migolus. Deloi sagele begolus. That when we said before that Yichai B'Dalet Dvarim Potem Megolus. And we understood the reason why you Potem Megolus is because Golus, you only go to Golus if you did something by mistake, and this is less than a mistake. But Rava asked that this is even worse than a case of Yara. So now Rava is saying the reason why you Potem Megolus is not Pshat, like we learned before, that it's less bad than killing someone in the forest. No, it's worse. This is much worse. In the forest, each one was in its own allowed to be there. Here they came in with permission and he got killed. Golus is not enough. Golus won't solve his issue. Because Golus is only when he did something by mistake. This is worse than a mistake. This is Karav Lemezid. It's nearly intentional. You knew the guy was there. You should have been careful. I know, Marava, my Potem Golus. What did it mean, Potem Golus? Golus is not enough from him. And this is the reason of Rabbi Yosi Bar Chanina. Mishum dehavele shoygeg Korav Lemezid. It's a shoygeg that's very similar. It's nearly intentional. And in such a case where it's nearly intentional, you don't go to Golus. Golus is only for someone who does it b'shoygeg by mistake. Masiv Rava, Frek Rava Kasha. So before this din, the back changes it. The din we just said before, Omar Rabba Kal V'choima, because here if Rav is asking a question, Rav is not asking a question against himself. It's not the way the Gemara speaks. So before you go to this Rabba, like the back changes it, and here Rav is asking a question on Rabba. It says Oisif Lo Ritzua, someone who gets Malchus. So someone gets Malchus, he's meant to get 39 Malchus if he does a Lav Sheesh B'Maisa. Before you get the Malchus, Bezdin check the person and see if he's a strong person, you give him the full Malchus. If it's a person who's weak, they judge, they estimate how much can this person take, and they say, let's say he could take only 30 Malchus. And then the person who's doing the Malchus, the Shliach Bezdin, gave one more. Instead of giving 30, he gave 31, or instead of giving 39, he gave 40. He hit him one extra hit to the person who gets Malchus, who mace, and he dies. The person who was giving the lashes gets Golus al Yodoi because of killing this person. Over here, the shoygeg Korav Lemezid, who it's a shoygeg, it's a mistake that's very close to mezid, to intention. Why? The boy Asuka died to the mice. He should have realized the mice inchi that people might die. And one extra lash, a person could die. So you gave that extra lash. It's very close to intentional causing of death, and we still say you go to Golus. And before Rabbi, you were telling me that there is a case where it's very Korav Lemezid, where Golus is not good enough for you, and you can't go to Golus. Victoria, and it says Areza Goila, Kash on Rabba, Omar of Shtimi Minar Dore, the Toy Beminyona. It's talking about over here the person who was giving the lashes. He was meant to give 30 lashes, and by mistake 22 he counted twice. So when he got to 30, he thought he was only at 30, and therefore he gave 31 at the end because 22 he counted twice, and it's a mistake. It's not Korav Lemezid. We said he gave one extra. It's Korav Lemezid. It's nearly intentional, but he had a mistake in counting. So straight away, Tofach le Rava besandele, Rava hit Rav Simi Minardor with a sandal, or on a sandal, or a Rava sandal. Basically told him, hey, what are you talking about? Amale, Otuhu, money. Does he count? Does the person who gives the lashes count 1, 2, 3? No. Vatanya will end in the Braisa. Godel Shebedayonim. The first one, the oldest Dayan who judged this person for Malchus, he reads. What does he read? Says Rashi, V'iflo Hashem es makoisecha, the psukim that talks about Malchus, about the punishment that person gets. V'asheni, the second Dayan Moine, counts 1, 2, 3, every hit. V'ashlishi Oimer Akeyu, and the third one says hit him. So the first Dayan reads a psukim, the second one says 1, and the third Dayan tells him hit, and then the Shliach Bezdin does a hit, and then afterwards the first one's still reading, and the second one says 2, and the third one says hit. So how could we say he had a mistake by counting? It's not him who counts at all, it's a Dayan who counts. Yeah, you're right. He doesn't count. And we're talking about over here where the dayan number 2 counts, he had a mistake and he said 22 twice, and therefore when he came to 30 really was 31, and now he died, and then Ochenami, the person's goyle, the one who hit, because he's a shoygig, because it's not his job to count, it was a dayan's fault, but he did at the end of the day the killing, so that's a shoygig, and that's a type of one that you go to Golos, and it's not korev lemezid. We ask another kasha. Azurik is even Rishus Rabbim. Someone threw a stone into Rishus Rabbim v'arag, and he killed a reza goyla. His goyla v'hocha over here. The shoygeg that it's a mistake. Korev lemezid, very close to intentional, because you have to realize in a public place people are walking. If I throw a rock out there, very likely it's going to land on someone's head and kill him. He should have realized the Rishus Rabbim in a public place. There's people, so we could see if it's a mistake, even though that's very korev lemezid, you still get golus. Omar of Shmuel bar Yitzchak, says Rav Shmuel Yitzchak, we're talking about over here, he's not just randomly throwing stones in Rishus Rabbim, he's breaking down his wall. That's why he a goyla, because it's more of a shoygeg, because I didn't randomly doing it. So the Gemara boile still you should look where you're breaking your wall down. It's a public place, you should see if there's people there or not. So the Gemara besoise balayla, you're doing it at night so you can't see, or there's not so many people at night. So the Gemara balayla nami boile yuni, at the end of the day at night put a light over there, or look who's going. What do you mean? So what, that's night? Well, people don't go in Rishus Rabbim at night. So the Gemara, no. But so he says, he's breaking down his wall to a place where people use as a toilet, and people are less. The Gemara is going to discuss exactly what's the case. Ahai ashpo, this public place to use as a toilet, echidomi, what are we talking about? If there's lots of people use it, mezid too, what do we care what type of place it is? People are there, you shouldn't break your wall over there. And if it's not common for people to be there, onusu, I'm honest, why should I even need golus? Honest, you don't need to go to golus. So the Gemara, Amar Papa, lo yitzricha, with Elo, it's talking about, it's a place where people normally use as a toilet at night. Normally people don't use it in the day. And sometimes people even in the day use it. Mezid lo yave, so you can't say it's mezid because the most people it's not snistic to use it in the day and it's not used. Onus nami lo yave, but you can't say it's a oinus that you're potter from golus. If once in a rare time someone uses it in the day, so when you do it in the day you should check. If you don't check, you're shoygig. And if you're shoygig and you kill someone shoygig, what you did, you go to golus. But if really it's a shoygig who's korev lemezid, on a chinami golus, you don't go to golus. And we don't have no kasha on Rabbah. Rapapa mishmei derova masilo areisha. So we had the brisa further up, Ton Rabban, and I'm going up in the narrow lines about 10, 12 lines up at the beginning of the line. Ton Rabban, anichas echanutzish nagar, someone who came in to the shop of a carpenter, without permission, and a piece of wood hit him, potter. So you potter if he came in without permission. But if the carpenter let him in and he killed him, chayev. And then Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina said his din, what does chayev mean? He's chayev et al dvarim, but you potter migolus. So now we're going to say that this Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina, he said on the Reisha of the Mishnah, Papa Mishmei Derova Masna Reisha, and Nichnas Echanus Shinago, Shaloi Berushus, without permission, Venitzulu Bakas the top Cholel Pono, and a piece of wood went flying and hit him on his face. Umeis, and he died potter. He's potter because he didn't know that he's there, he didn't come in with permission. Omar Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina, that we said potter, he's still chayav barabot varim. If you didn't kill him, if you just caused damage, you chayav barabot varim. Nezek, tzar, sheves, ripui. Upotem megolus. But even in the case, in such a case, he'll be potem megolus. Said the Gemara, man de masni la seifa, the one who says that Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina said his din on the seifa in the Mishnah where he came in with permission, and we still said that you're potter from golus. Kol shekein reisha. So even more so in the Reisha, where mamish Curve La'onis, if this is called curve Lemezid and I'm potter for Golos, so the Chur Kol Shekain in the ratio where I'm in my own private property. Don't come into my private property without permission. He came without permission. I'm potter from Golos, I'm curve La'onis. Umandim Asilo Aresha, the one who says that Rabbi Yosef Bar Chanina says you potter begolus in the ratio where he came in without permission, Aval Seifa in the case where he came in with permission, Kevin the Rishur, since he came in with permission, Chayev Golus. You are Chayev Golus because you should have the guys in your shop. It's even Korv Lemezid, but I suppose in the Fidus Gurus they don't hold that it's so Korv Lemezid that you potter from Golus. No, you'll be Chayev Golus. Frag the Gemara, Mi Chayev Golus. Will you be chayav golus in such a case? Vatanya, we learned in the Brisa, someone came into the shop of the blacksmith, someone who does metal, someone who deals with metal, and napoch he's a blower, because they blow with a stick in the fire to make the fire bigger to control the metal. So someone came into the blacksmith's shop, v'nitzo nitzoitza, and a spark flew the top ponov and hit him in his face. Umeis potter, and he killed the person who came in. He's potter. Even though if the person came in with rishus, he's potter. And so bishleim what we said before, that Rabbi Yosef Bar Chanina said potter even when he came in with permission, and kol shekain when he came in without permission. Very good. But Lefi the Guru said that Rabbi Yosef Bar Chanina only said you potter when he came in without permission, but when he came in with permission, you chayev golus. It doesn't fit in with this brisa. So the Gemara, the person who got the spark and died is not just a random person. It's talking about he's a apprentice. He's a person who's studying by the blacksmith, and he got hurt and died, and that's why you're potter. Said the Gemara straight away, Shulia denapche, the apprentice, lemiktelakoi, is he meant to be killed? What, because he's studying by his master, you're allowed to kill him? What do you mean? He's here, you should be careful from him. Said the Gemara, it's talking about where his master tells him, I'm doing now something dangerous, please leave the workshop. And he doesn't go out, and therefore the master's potter because he told him to go out. Frek the Gemara, Mishum the Rabbi Misar Bolotzes, because his master is telling him to leave. Lemiktilakoi, is that reason that you're allowed to kill him? Very nice, you told him to leave, but you see he's over here. You can't just kill him, you have to be careful. So the Gemara, Kosovo Yotzo, he fought, the master fought, he told him, please leave, I'm going to do something dangerous over here. And then he didn't look if he left or not. He was sure, obviously he listened, and he starts doing this dangerous thing, and a spark hit his apprentice's face and dies. That's why he's potter, because he's honest, because he told him to leave, and he was meant to leave. If it told my way he told him to leave and he thought he left, why do we have to talk about apprentice? Any person who you told to leave and he didn't leave, he should be potter. So the Gemara, if the master told a random person, a customer who's in the shop, please leave, I'm doing something dangerous, he knows that the customer is not scared from him, he's not his master, so he might stay here. The blacksmith should make sure that the person actually left, should go and check, and if he didn't check, you're chayev. But the apprentice, Islay Moshe the Rabbi, he has the fear from his master, and therefore, since he has a fear from his master, when his master told him to leave, the master expects him to leave, and he doesn't have to go and check did he leave or not, and therefore he's a shogig if he killed him. So it comes out, we don't have a cash on Rabbi Yosef Bar Chanina. By us, where Rabbi Yosef Bar Chanina was talking about Rishus and Shaloi Rishus is a person, nothing to do with apprentice. And there, if it's with permission, he came in, Yichayev Golus, without permission, you're potter from Golus. And in the case over here, it's a specific case with an apprentice and a master. They told him to leave, and he didn't want to leave, and he didn't leave, and he thought he left, and that's why you potter, even though that was with Rishus. Shkoyach.